that there are some people out there who think this is just an incredibly radical idea. Imagine in the United States of America, all of us having health care as a right. But I hope all of you know this is not a radical idea, it is a conservative idea. It is an idea and a practice that exists in every other major country on earth. You know, not just in Scandinavia, in Denmark or Sweden or Finland or Norway. It exists in Canada. I live 50 miles away from Canada. Not a radical idea. It exists in France, Germany, Taiwan, all over the world. Countries have made the determination that all of their people are entitled to health care, and I believe the time is long overdue for the United States to join the rest of the world. A Medicare for all single-payer program, which I support, would not only guarantee health care for all people, not only save middle-class families and our entire nation significant sums of money, because all of you should know that our health care system is by far the most expensive per capita of any system on earth. But a Medicare for all single-payer program would radically improve the lives of all Americans and bring about significant improvements in our economy. Think about it. People who get sick will not have to worry about paying a deductible or making a copayment. Radical idea. When they're sick, they can actually go to the doctor and not end up in the emergency room at a much greater expense to the system. Think about it. Business owners will not have to spend enormous amounts of time worrying about how they're going to provide health care for their employees. Think about it. And we don't talk about this very much. You got millions of workers in this country who are staying on jobs, in jobs, which they do not want to stay in, but they're there because they have a decent health care program for themselves and their families. Think what it means when young people or anybody else can say, you know what? This is the job that I love. This is what I want to do. And I'm going to go out and start this business or do this work. And I don't have to worry about health care because all of us in America have health care. And by the way, what a Medicare for all system will bring about is ending the absurdity of the American people paying by far the highest prices in the world for prescription drugs. Now, when I talk about democratic socialism, what that means to me is that in the year 2015, a college degree today is equivalent to what a high school degree was 50 years ago. And what that means is that public education must today allow every person in this country who has the ability, the qualifications, and the desire, the right to go to a public college or university tuition free. Is this a radical socialistic idea? I don't think so. It exists in many countries all over the world. And you know what? Used to exist in the United States of America. We had great universities like the University of California, the City University of New York, virtually tuition free. Democratic socialism means that our government does everything it can to create a full employment economy. It makes far more sense to me to put millions of people back to work rebuilding our crumbling infrastructure than to have a real unemployment rate of almost 10%. It is far smarter to invest in jobs and educational opportunities for young people who are unemployed than to lock them up and invest in jails and incarceration. Democratic socialism means that if somebody works 40 hours a week, that person should not be living in poverty, that we must raise the minimum wage to a living wage, $15 an hour over the next several years. It means that we join the rest of the world and pass the very strong paid family and medical leave legislation now sitting in Congress. And I want you to think about this, and I really, want you to see what goes on in our country today. It's not only that every other major country, I'm not talking about Europe or Scandinavia, virtually every country in the world, poor countries, small countries, reached the conclusion that when a woman has a baby, she should not be forced to be separated from that newborn baby after a week or two and have to go back to work. Making sure that moms and dads can stay home and get to love their babies is a family value that we should support. And that is why I want and will fight to end the absurdity of the United States being one of the only countries on earth that does not guarantee at least 3 months of paid family and medical leave. Democratic socialism, to me, means that we have government policy, strong government policy, which does not allow the greed and profiteering of the fossil fuel industry to destroy our environment and our planet. And it means to me that we have a moral responsibility to combat climate change and leave this planet healthy and habitable for our kids and our grandchildren. Democratic socialism means that in a democratic, civilized society, the wealthiest people and the largest corporations must pay their fair share of taxes. Yes, innovation, entrepreneurship, and business success should be rewarded. But greed for the sake of greed is not something that public policy should support. It is not acceptable to me that in the last period of time, last 2 years, 15 of the wealthiest people in this country, 15 people, saw their wealth increased in this rigged economy by $170 billion. Got it? 2 years, 15 people, $170 billion increase in their wealth. That is more wealth than is owned by the bottom 130 million Americans. Let us not forget what Pope Francis has so elegantly stated, and I quote, "We have created new idols. The worship of the golden calf of old has found a new and heartless image in the cult of money and the dictatorship of an economy which is faceless and lacking any truly humane goal," end of quote. In other words, we have got to do better than that. Not a political issue, it's not an economic issue, it is a cultural issue. We have got to stop worshiping people who make billions and billions and billions of dollars while we have the highest rate of childhood poverty of any major country. It's not acceptable to me that major corporations stash their profits in the Cayman Islands and other tax havens to avoid paying $100 billion a year in taxes. It is not acceptable that hedge fund managers pay a lower effective tax rate than nurses or truck drivers. It is not acceptable. Have given up on the political process entirely. In the last midterm election, just a year ago, 63% of the American people didn't vote. 80% of young people did not vote. Clearly, despite the efforts of many Republican governors who want to suppress the vote, to make it harder for people of color and old people to participate in the political system, our job together is to make it easier for people to vote, not harder for people to vote. It is not a radical idea, and I will fight for this as hard as I can as president, to say that everyone in this country who is 18 years of age or older is registered to vote. End of discussion. So the next time that you hear me attacked as a socialist, like tomorrow, remember this. I don't believe government should take over, the grocery store down the street or own the means of production. But I do believe that the middle class and the working families of this country who produce the wealth of this country deserve a decent standard of living, and that their incomes should go up, not down. I do believe in private companies that thrive and invest and grow in America.